repeating the same thing again and again. Now let's get back to our PPT. That was just a small introduction. We are going to see COVID-5 in detail again. Just the concept is at a bit later stage. We will just finish the questions in relation to IT compliances first. Yes, so were you able to hear the video? Was the audio? If not, I will send the link. Send the link in the group. Now let's see what are the key management practices of IT compliance. These are the normal procedures that the company has for doing IT compliances. We have seen compliance using COVID-5. Now we are seeing the normal practices of the company. First, we will identify what are the external compliance requirements. What are the local laws applicable to the company? What are the international laws applicable to the company? We will do EDM. What is EDM? Evaluate, direct, monitor. After we have understood that what are the requirements, we will optimize our response to external requirements. We will communicate that these are the compliance requirements to our stakeholders so that they can also take measures for compliance. We can also take measures for compliance. It will optimize our response to the compliance. We will also review our PPSG. What is PPSG? Policies, procedures, standards, and guidelines. To ensure that our response is optimized. Then the next point is we will confirm external compliance. We have already communicated all the stakeholders what are the compliance requirements. We will see whether they have done their part. If not, we will make sure that we communicate them. Please do the compliance. We will confirm it with the policies, procedures, standards, guidelines, PPSG again. And we will also see whether LRC requirements are followed. What is LRC? It is legal, regulatory, and contractual requirements. Okay, here we had got this contractual requirements. Here we have legal, regulatory, and contractual requirements are followed or not. We had already negotiated that we had these contracts. These are the compliance requirements. Now in confirming external compliance, we will confirm whether the contractual requirements were followed or not. And we will also see whether the compliance requirements were followed or not. And the last point is we will obtain assurance of external compliance. Whether any compliance requirements were not followed or if they were followed, but we had interpreted it in a wrong manner, or there is a change in the procedure, or there is an amendment or update that we didn't cover. Okay, so in relation to same, we can take corrective actions and obtain assurance that all the external compliance requirements have met or not. How many participants? Okay, 5 only. So these were the key management practices of IT compliance. If you are missing any part of the lecture, I am going to upload all these lectures on the YouTube for a limited time period. Make sure that you study it on your own in the study material. Also watch these videos 2 or 3 times if any part is missing or if you have missed any part of the lecture. Okay, these videos, they are available to you for only a limited time. After that, let's see the next question. Now, how we will assess the compliance requirements have met or not? What are the key metrics? Okay, these are the parameters that will ensure that you have the compliance mechanism that you have in your organization, whether it is optimum or not. We had these key metrics for strategy planning process, for risk management. Now we are looking at key metrics for compliance process. Now, we will divide it into two parts: compliance with external laws and compliance with internal policies, procedures, standards, guidelines, PPSG. Now, what are the parameters in relation to external laws? What are the parameters? Number of IT related non-compliance reported which are causing embarrassment. Okay, this ITNC is IT related non-compliances. So what we will do is we will make a list of non-compliances. We will see which non-compliances have caused us some embarrassment. Okay, why it is serious is because we will take more controls and we will implement more procedures to avoid that kind of embarrassment in future, because we have been embarrassed once already. After that, number of non-compliances relating to CA with IT service providers. Okay, this CA is not that CA. This CA is contractual agreements. So if there are in non-compliances in relation to contractual agreements, we will categorize them differently, but we will make a list of them also. Contractual agreements with IT service providers. If you have entered into a contract, if you have communicated all the external compliance requirements, but the stakeholder didn't follow them or we didn't follow them, so we will report them separately. Then what is the coverage of compliance assessment? Whether we are covering local laws, whether we are covering international laws, whether we are also covering the contracts that we have entered into with IT service providers. So we have to see what is the coverage and we have to include it in our, we have to make sure that it has maximum coverage. Then the cost of IT related non-compliances, including settlement and fine. Okay, now the non-compliances for which the regulatory authorities have imposed fines, or we had to go to the settlement commission to settle those cases. Okay, so here remember embarrassment, contractual agreements, settlement fine, and coverage. Okay, these are the 4 points in external laws. And even if you don't remember these parameters, you know that they have happened in the organization because you know something embarrassing has happened, something with the contractual agreements has happened, something with the regulatory authorities has happened. Obviously, everyone in the organization knows about these parameters. Now, this coverage of compliance assessment, even if it is not covered, obviously, regulatory authorities and compliance authorities will make sure that you cover the same. So this was the first part of parameters, compliance with external laws. Then we have compliance with internal policies. Now, the first parameter is percentage of shareholders who understand the policies. Okay. So those students who don't understand ISCA, they will not understand those policies. So we will include a list of all the shareholders. Then we will calculate the list of shareholders who don't understand the policies. What we will do after calculating that percentage, we will try to give them a more explanatory report instead of the condensed report, so that they can get a better understanding of the policies and take decisions accordingly. We don't want them to take uninformed decisions. We want to take informed decisions. That is why we are calculating the percentage. Then percentage policy supported by effective standards. What are effective standards? Certain standards for compliance have already been set in the industry. We will see whether the policy has those effective standards in place and whether how much percent of the policy is supported by them. If it is 100%, then it is the best. If not, just we have to mention the percentage. Then number of incidents of non-compliance. All the non-compliances that we had seen earlier, we have to just mention the number here. Okay, these are in relation to internal policies. These are not in relation to external laws. Okay, these are different incidents. Then the last point is frequency of policy review and updates. How frequently we will update them. So this was similar to the metrics of risk management. Okay, there also we had a frequency of updating the risk profile. Here we are seeing the frequency of policy review or policy updates or updating the policy. There we were updating risk profile. Here we are updating policies. So if you do a comparative analysis on your own in your notebook, it will definitely be beneficial for you. Okay, you can remember all these questions in one go itself if you know how to compare them and read them. Yes, any questions till now? After this, we are going to start with COVID 5. So, any questions you have till now?
Sir, shall we revise what we've done today? Only today. I just want a revision, sir. Only for today. Yeah.
I like revision. So, we will do revision today. Okay, we will revise from the beginning itself, from the first concept. This is a very big chapter, so yeah, we will not revise this. Okay, first what we saw is in this chapter, what is governance, enterprise governance, corporate governance. These are just concepts. Their internal control policies. These are also again internal control policies. Then we saw GEIT, IT governance and enterprise risk management. These are only concepts. You have to remember these concepts so that you can write these in the introduction part of the questions. Then this key governance practices for GEIT: evaluate, direct, monitor. These are all. This is also a list of terms, governance dimensions. Now, here we have metrics for strategy planning process. First, we saw how the planning process is done. Okay, what are the essentials? Then we saw how to align strategy with the enterprise strategy. What are the key management practices? Okay, here we saw how to align it. Later, we will see what is the relationship between the strategy and what are the functions of IT steering committee. We are not going to talk about aligning later. We are talking about aligning here. Then again, key governance practices for evaluating how IT is delivering benefits. Okay, the points are again same: evaluate, direct, monitor. Then what are the objectives of IT strategy? There's strategic planning. This is a bit difficult question. There are 3 levels of planning and there are 4 plans in strategic planning. What are the 4 plans? Enterprise strategy plan, information system strategic plan, information system requirement plan, information system applications and facilities plan. We use the 4th plan when we are going to develop application software, then or we need facilities. Then we use the 3rd plan to have an understanding of the information architecture of the organization so that we can do the maintenance or updation of the same. Then we use the 2nd plan to make sure that the technology that we are using in the organization, they are the best technologies, but we have to also make sure that we are not wasting our funds. How we will do that? We have enablers for that. It will help us in taking decisions. An enterprise strategy plan, you have to remember what are the 4 things included in this plan, and it must be aligned with the IT strategy. Then we saw these key points that if you are going to change the business process, it will attract threats and risks. You need to impose controls. You need to reduce this risk within the risk appetite. It is the auditor's job to evaluate the controls, whether they're adequate or not. If they're not adequate, we will report it to the senior management. Also, he will also see what are the policies, procedures, standards, guidelines. Then based on the impact of a risk, he will categorize these controls into 3 types and he will evaluate the same. Then we saw the risk management strategies. We started risk management from here. Okay. This is the introduction of the risk management. We have understood that there is going to be risk. So we saw what are the risk management strategies. Tolerate the risk, bad customer feedback, terminate the risk, update to the earlier version or a new version, or change the vendor itself from Windows to Apple, then transfer the risk. In case of fire, insurance company will help us in mitigation, or we will outsource the processing entirely, or we will hire more qualified system management staff. Then treat the risk. We will apply physical security controls in case of employee theft and all. Then we will turn back or ignore where the probability of occurrence is very low, like tsunami, flood, and earthquakes. Then key governance practices, you know these points again: evaluate, direct, monitor. Here we are talking about risk management, so we will talk about risk appetite in this question. In the earlier stage, here in this question, business value from IT, we were talking about key governance practices. Here we will talk about the benefits realized from IT investments. We will not talk about here the risk appetite. Here we will talk about benefits realized from IT investments. Here about risk appetite. After this, we saw the sources of risks. We will make a list of these risks in front of activities, and we will see what is the probability of them occurring, what is the potential loss that we will incur if they materialize, and what are the controls and procedures we have to follow if they materialize. Then characteristics of the risk, how we will classify the risk based on the potential loss. Then we will also calculate its probability. Then we have key management practices. What is the action plan that we have for doing risk management? Okay, these are basically the normal procedures that management must do for risk management: collect data, analyze risk, maintain a risk profile, articulate risk, define a risk management action portfolio, and respond to risk. Here again, we are talking about risk appetite again and again. Then we have metrics of risk management. Here the last point is frequency of updating risk profile. Percentage, number, frequency. That is the format of your parameters. Here the last point is frequency of updating the risk profile. Then we saw how we will do risk management using COVID-5. Okay. Whenever a question in relation to COVID-5 comes, you have to say that it is a collection of best practices. It will help you in risk management, assurance activities, compliance review. Okay, so we saw that it gives excellent guidance. Then it has a 5 governance process. That is why we are calling it COVID-5. Also remember, you are supposed to remember the full form of COVID-5. They can ask it. Then it is a continuous process. It will ensure integration, risk optimization, and accountability and responsibility. Okay, these are just 4 to 5 common points that you have to write again and again for COVID-5. In risk management, in compliance review, and in assurance activities, that it will suggest accountability and responsibility. It will ensure integration. It is a continuous process or a focused process. These are the common points that you have to write again and again for COVID-5. In risk management, we have seen now how COVID-5 will benefit us. Then we saw what is the role of IT in enterprises? Okay, now we are slowly shifting towards IT steering committee. What are their functions? And then we will see how to do compliance. Okay, so we will see what is the role of IT in enterprises. This is just some background points. Then what is the relationship between business and IT strategy? Here you have to mention that we are doing planning at a macro level. It will help the auditor in understanding what is the link between the two strategies. Then what are the controls? Then we have to say that formulation cannot be done in isolation and all. Then we started talking about IT steering committee. Who are the people in the IT steering committee? The key departments are IT and audit department. Then we saw the functions. IT steering committee will review and approve 3 things. It will facilitate 3 things, and in general they will do 2 things. Okay, 3, 3, 2. You have to write 8 points. 8 points is enough. If you can remember more of them, it is well enough. So I used to remember these 8 points only. 3 plus 3 plus 2, 8 points. It will review 3 things. It will facilitate 3 things, and in general it will do 2 things. So that is what is IT steering committee functions. Now we started talking about compliance review. Why we are doing compliance review? Because of fraud scams like Satyam and Enron. What happened is they didn't follow the compliance requirements, or they complied but in a fraudulent way. So that is why now IT compliance review is mandated. The enforcement is mandated by regulators because frauds in compliance is done by large organizations. SOX, clause 49 of listing agreement. We have to mention these points again and again. SOX, COSO framework, and clause 49 of listing agreement. Then again, compliance in COVID 5. Here you have to again write transparency, accountability, then integration. Then we have to mention COVID 5 plus COSO framework combination. Then the main point you have to write here is compliance focused process. In risk management, we were writing 5 governance process. In compliance, you have to write compliance focused process. There is a management domain which will ensure that we evaluate, direct monitor compliance requirements. These are the only points here. Again in COVID 5 question. Then key management practices. Okay, these are the again normal procedures that the company must have. We will identify which local laws, international laws that we have to follow. What are the requirements? Then we will communicate the compliance requirements to the stakeholders that supply documents to us, because we have to comply with these. If you don't send these documents, we will not be able to comply. We will communicate the same to the stakeholders. Then we will receive those documents and meet our compliance requirements. We will also confirm whether the stakeholders have done their compliance requirements or not. Okay, we will also verify whether the contractual requirements have also been met or not, because they also have legal implications. Then we will obtain assurance that all the requirements have met or not, whether we had interpreted it in a correct way, whether there are any amendments or updates that we missed. If we have missed, then we will take corrective actions in relation to that. We will understand that after we do the compliance. Okay, so after that we will take corrective actions. And these were the key metrics of assessing compliance. How we will measure the effectiveness of our compliance procedures. Again, we divided it into 2 parts: external laws and internal policies. Okay, what the incidents causing embarrassment, then in relation to contractual agreements, then settlements and fines, and then what all is covered in this compliance assessment. After that, which saw compliance with internal policies, how many shareholders are understanding the policies, how much of it is supported by effective standards, then what are the incidents of non-compliance and the frequency of updating the policy. Now here we have updating the policy. In a risk management, we had updating risk profile. They can ask in exam specifically key metrics for assessing compliance with internal policies or specifically compliance with external laws. They will never ask both of them. Okay, any particular question you want me to revise? You didn't understand? Was this revision fine, or do you want me to go point by point?
Sir, I want you to repeat this compliance in COVID 5.
Compliance in COVID 5. Okay.
COVID.
Okay, I am first telling you what are the points that you have to write in compliance in COVID 5. That COVID 5 has a management domain. Now, what does that management domain do? It will ensure that the company can evaluate, direct, and monitor what are the compliance requirements. Okay, so that domain will focus only on compliance aspect. That is why we are calling it a compliance focused process. So the first point is management domain. Then you will copy paste your points from the risk management in COVID 5, that it suggests transparency and accountability. It ensures integration. Then it gives excellent guidance. Okay, these are the points you have to copy paste from there. And you have to also say that it ensures the governance regulatory requirements have been complied with or not. And the last point that you have to mention is COVID in combination with COSO framework is the most widely used framework. That is one additional point. Even if you don't write it, no problem with it. You have to just tell what is the benefit of using COVID 5 in compliance procedures and risk management procedures. In normal procedures, there is no transparency, accountability. There is no integration assurance. Then guidance. Okay, the quality of guidance given by COVID 5, it is much better than our normal procedures. That is why we are using COVID 5. So that are the 4 common points in relation to COVID 5 that you have to write for compliance and risk management. Okay, I know that you might not be satisfied with the answer again, but once we see what is COVID 5, I'm sure you can relate it to these questions more. So now, should we start with COVID 5 now? Or do you want me to stop?
Please stop, sir. This is too much today.
See, once this chapter is over now, and once you prepare the comparative chart, like what are the benefits from IT, governance, then all the questions are similar. All the points are similar. The theory and flow behind it is similar. You have to just understand what you have to write. Yes, any question?
No, sir. There's too much theory, so it's very difficult to relate also.
Okay. What I will try to do is I will design a chart for this so that and also assign a story that you will be able to remember this theory. See, the theory is common, only you have to see what points you have to write for that question. So I will prepare that chart today itself, and then we'll start with COVID 5 tomorrow. Okay, fine.
Okay, sir. Yes.
And
Thank you.
one more point I want to add is our study material is not telling what COVID-5 actually is, how to use COVID-5. It is just in our 12th syllabus, we had Tally software. Okay, in detail, we were told how to create vouchers and all. We are not going to learn about COVID-5 in that way. We are just going to learn a gentle introduction. What are the practices, enablers and all. Okay, we are going to revolve around COVID-5, but we are not going to understand what is COVID-5. Okay, so that is what your review will be after learning about COVID-5. Okay, so we will stop here now. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, sir.